Welcome to the Business of Being You podcast. Today's episode is Who Am I? Finding Your True Self. Do you ever feel like you don't know who you are anymore? Or maybe like you've never really known who you truly are? If so, this is the episode for you. I'm not only going to talk about where this might have come from, but also some ways on how you can unlock who you really are and begin being yourself confidently and living a life that's authentic to you. Welcome once again. My name is Marco Benitez, also known as Coach Marco B. I'm an authenticity coach and I help people to unapologetically be who they truly are and be okay with what they truly want so that they can confidently be the best version of themselves and live a life that inspires them and others. So let's go back to the original questions. Do you ever feel like you don't know who you are anymore? Or maybe like you've never really known who you truly are? If so, just know that you're not alone and there's nothing wrong with you. Feeling disconnected, even if it's from yourself, is something that a lot of people go through. In the last few years, especially after COVID, people in general have had a lot of time to reflect on what matters to them. This has been happening for a lot of reasons. It could be because a lot of time was spent alone that left you with your thoughts about what matters or how much you value time with your coworkers or just getting out of the house. It could be because of the loss that you witnessed or experienced firsthand. But even aside from the events of the last few years, which helped us to reevaluate our priorities, it seems that society in general is going through a great awakening. People are changing jobs and careers more often. Self-care and mental well-being is in the spotlight more than ever before. And people seem to be talking less about possessions and more about experiences, whether it's trying a new restaurant, going to a unique pop-up event, or traveling to someplace new, near or far. So it's natural that if you're reevaluating and reprioritizing so many things in your life, that naturally you're going to become more introspective as well. And sometimes the person you're showing up as on a day-to-day basis doesn't seem to be living in alignment with who you feel you truly are. This can feel uncomfortable and create a lot of different emotions, like feeling confined, suppressed, frustrated, anxious, or depressed. But just know that those feelings of discomfort are indicators that it's time for a change. Time to level up, to rediscover or even discover for the first time a more authentic version of yourself. Now, it may seem odd that you would have to discover who you are, but let's look at where this may have come from. A lot of times your authentic self gets buried underneath what others expect from you. And what does that mean? It means that as you grow up, you start to take on different roles. Boyfriend, girlfriend, son, daughter, mother, father, boss, manager, teacher, etc. And as a result of performing your role, and take notice to that word performing, you begin to lose clarity on who you really are at your core. And instead, you only know who you're expected to be in the role that you're playing in that given moment. Many times it's a version of yourself that was created for survival, to please someone else or to be liked. Does that sound familiar? See if you could fill in the blanks in the following statement. A blank is supposed to blank. Let me give you some examples. A real friend is supposed to always be available, even if I'm spreading myself too thin. Another one is, as a good spouse, I'm supposed to put my dreams aside for my spouse. Another one could be, a nice person isn't supposed to disagree with others, even if I actually do disagree. So take a moment and reflect on your life and see if there are any a blank is supposed to blank statements there that may be contributing to you not showing up as the most authentic version of yourself currently. And now let's look at a few ways to reconnect with your authentic self. And let's remind ourselves what authenticity and the authentic self is. So authenticity is what I say and what I do reflect what I believe. And so the authentic self is what I say and what I do reflect who I believe that I am. And you can even add on to the end of that statement and aligns with my purpose. So that would sound like the authentic self is what I say and what I do reflect who I believe I am and aligns with my purpose. So let's look at how you're showing up. Imagine if someone who didn't know you were handed a paper which described what you did for an entire week. Your work, your words, how you spend your time, etc. And that person was asked to create a description of the person you are based on that information? Would they be able to accurately describe your authentic self? If the answer is no, then that may be an indicator that you're not showing up as the most authentic version of yourself. But there are things you can do to reconnect, rediscover, or even discover for the first time your authentic self. I've come up with 3 techniques to do this. For each one of these 3 techniques, you can pause this and write out your answers on a piece of paper. 1 is time machine. The first one is to look back at a time in your life before you had responsibilities or people depending on you. If you could ask yourself at that point in your life what that version of yourself wanted to be, what they wanted to accomplish, what that version of yourself wanted to share, what answer would they give you? Why did you let that go? Was it because you lost interest in it? Was it because you were made fun of? Was it because it's no longer a priority? Was it because you were discouraged away from it? Was it because someone or something placed a demand on you that required you to let it go? You can pause this and reflect on these questions and write down your answers on a piece of paper. 2, removing boundaries. The second is to reflect on the following. Sometimes what you feel you have to do is different than what you want to do. And so much of your authentic self lies within the things you want to or wish you were doing. So if you ask yourself the question, what would I attempt to do if I knew I could not fail? What would I attempt to do if I knew I could not fail? What answer would you tell yourself? The challenge in this exercise is that often the answer is clouded or limited by your current circumstances. I'm asking outside of your current circumstances. If you could imagine waking up one morning and all of your financial obligations were taken care of and all of your personal obligations were met and your time was available to you, what would you do with your free time? Imagine that a genie in a bottle showed up in your room and said, whatever you want to do, I will allow you to achieve it guaranteed. What would you attempt to do and why would you do it? You can pause this and reflect on these questions and write down your answers on a piece of paper now. 3, secret sauce. The third and last technique is to give yourself credit for what you're naturally good at. In life, people don't always gravitate to the person who offers fancy or flashy things or claims to be the best. More often, people gravitate to those who are authentic. There are some professions that have the reputation of saying whatever they feel the client needs to hear in order to make a sale, even though it may not necessarily be true. Why do you think so many people are so hesitant to trust a salesperson? On the other hand, how many times have you decided to purchase something from someone who you could sense was being honest and genuine with you? How many times have you chosen to do business with someone because they provide good customer service? And good customer service is more than just saying sir or ma'am. Good customer service comes from someone who genuinely loves what they do and wants to be the best at what they do. So what is it that you do that people naturally seek you out for? What are you the go-to person for? Maybe you make the best cupcakes. Maybe you teach things in a way that is understandable for people who have struggled learning a topic. Are you the person who's known as the good listener? Are you the person people go to when they need advice? If so, what advice do they seek you out for? Relationships? Money? Are you the person who knows all the tricks to getting a good deal at a store? Are you the person who people ask to give them fashion and styling tips? Maybe you know how to empathize and connect with people even if they're upset. Maybe you know how to hear the deeper message behind one's words. What do you do that people specifically seek you out for? And one last time, you can pause this and reflect on these questions and write down your answers on a piece of paper. And that's the episode. So what did you come up with? Have you been living a life authentic to you? Have you been showing up as your authentic self? If you feel that you've been falling short, how much of a difference is there from where you are to where you believe your authentic self is? I hope you found this episode helpful and of value. Again, my name is Marco Benitez, also known as Coach Marco B. I'm an authenticity coach, and I help people to unapologetically be who they truly are and be okay with what they truly want, so that they can confidently be the best version of themselves and live a life that inspires them and others. If you enjoyed this topic or have a topic you'd like me to speak about, tell me in the comments section. And I'll leave you with this final thought. You can fail at what you don't want, so you might as well take a chance at doing what you love. And of course, don't forget to mind your business, the business of being you.